We have learned one of those arrested was a member of the Sinaloa drug cartel, the largest drug cartel in the West.
This is not a Hollywood action movie. This is the largest real operation in Minnesota history, where the FBI and DEA launched a decisive strike against an invisible criminal organization, a shadowy empire that operated like a massive logistics corporation. With nearly 200 members, more than $650 million in dirty money, and a secret command center built deep underground. For years, they lived right in the heart of America, blending perfectly into fleets of trucks, warehouses, and ordinary bank transactions, until a series of anonymous text messages brought everything crashing down. Has the mastermind escaped, or is he still hiding somewhere out there? This story is far darker and more complicated than you might imagine. Stick around until the very end to discover the full, shocking truth. If you're getting chills from the suspense right now, drop a like immediately, share this with your friends, and comment below with your thoughts. Where will this network be reborn next? And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next mind-blowing update. At exactly 4 o'clock in the morning on December 24th, 2025, while the entire Twin Cities region remained plunged deep in the harsh winter darkness, a wave of silence enveloped the streets. No police sirens blared, no red and blue lights flashed, only unmarked convoys of vehicles quietly poured in from every direction. Military helicopters flew low, their rotors churning the bone-chilling cold air, blotting out the faint, struggling glow of streetlights. The command clock ticked down to 0. The largest operation in Minnesota's history had begun not with noise or fanfare, but with the precise, ice-cold efficiency of a single knife stroke. This wasn't a raid targeting chaotic street gangs or small-time dealers. This was a comprehensive, coordinated strike, meticulously prepared over hundreds of days, aimed squarely at a highly structured criminal organization that operated like a genuine multinational logistics corporation. The FBI, DEA, and various federal special operations units had pre-identified nearly 200 targets spread across the region, from quiet suburban homes to shadowy industrial warehouses, from high-rise apartments in the heart of downtown to truck garages tucked behind steel fences. Every move had been calculated to guarantee absolute surprise, leaving no one any chance to send out a single warning signal. Do you support this war to eliminate these cartels? If yes, comment the number 2. If not, comment the number 5. The Midwest has long been the beating heart of America's economy. Interstate highways crisscross the landscape like a spiderweb. Freight trains rumble day and night, and massive distribution centers never stop running. Millions of tons of cargo flow through here every month, linking the East Coast to the West, the North to the South. That very strategic location turned Minnesota into the perfect hub for every kind of transportation, legal and illegal alike. Neutral-colored semi-trucks with enclosed trailers rolled along on fixed schedules, small warehouses sat scattered across industrial parks, and local trucking companies came complete with full licenses and spotless tax records, all of it the ideal camouflage for a vast underground network. This organization was entirely different from the traditional image of organized crime. They didn't flaunt wealth with shiny luxury cars, didn't draw attention with brazen street-level violence, and never left traces through public turf wars. Instead, they had built a strict 3-tier hierarchy that closely mirrored the management structure of a major corporation. At the very bottom were hundreds of low-level operatives, truck drivers, couriers, loaders, and warehouse workers. These people operated on a strict need-to-know basis. They followed specific orders, but had no idea of the ultimate purpose of the shipments they handled. If one of them was caught or flipped, the damage was contained at the lowest level and never rippled upward to the layers above. The middle tier consisted of professional logistics and financial managers. They oversaw travel routes, allocated resources, managed cash flows, and ensured every shipment blended seamlessly into the daily commercial traffic stream. These individuals almost never touched the contraband directly. They operated through multiple layers of intermediaries, communicated exclusively via encrypted systems, and maintained the maximum possible distance from hands-on activities. At the very top sat the Leadership Council, just 9 figures in total. They operated under dozens of different aliases, used self-destructing communication platforms, and constantly rotated their methods of contact to issue orders from afar. These were the true strategic minds behind the entire Shadow Empire. The financial scale of the network left federal investigators stunned. Later indictment documents would estimate the total amount of illicit money involved at more than $650 million US. That staggering sum didn't come solely from large-scale drug trafficking. It also stemmed from sophisticated money laundering, cross-state cash smuggling, intricate financial transactions routed through layers of shell accounts, and even covert investments in real estate and legitimate businesses. This was no longer a local criminal outfit. This was a genuine shadow economy empire, one capable of generating profits, reinvesting, and expanding on a level comparable to mid-tier international crime syndicates. The most terrifying thing was their near-perfect invisibility. For years on end, the network operated virtually unseen by local law enforcement. They avoided every obvious red flag. No flashy displays of wealth, no public turf battles, no unnecessary attention. Instead, they blended seamlessly into the legitimate transportation economy. Truck drivers clocked regular 8-hour shifts on fixed schedules, warehouses received and shipped goods with complete invoices, and bank transfers looked identical to ordinary business transactions. In the massive daily flow of cargo, millions of containers moving across the United States every single day, spotting anything out of the ordinary became nearly impossible using standard inspection methods. That persistent existence raises a haunting, unrelenting question. How could a system of such enormous scale operate in near total silence for so long without being detected much earlier? The answer lies in the sophistication of their camouflage tactics. They relied on a network of legally registered shell companies, fake but convincing addresses, meticulously compliant logistics paperwork, and even simulated shipping contracts signed with real legitimate businesses. They studied and copied the operating methods of America's largest logistics corporations, mimicking schedules, routes, payment procedures, and even communication styles so convincingly that no one suspected a thing. The investigation did not begin with a chance arrest or a random traffic stop. It originated from extraordinarily valuable insider information. A series of anonymous messages were repeatedly sent to federal agencies containing details that were astonishingly precise. Specific delivery schedules, staging locations, internal communication methods, and even the code names of several key figures. At first, investigators approached the tips with extreme caution, but as continuous surveillance consistently confirmed every single detail, the entire resources of the case were mobilized at an unprecedented speed. For many months, continuous surveillance, analysis of cash flows through hundreds of accounts, collection of electronic data from compromised devices, satellite and GPS tracking of locations, and tight coordination among multiple agencies built an unprecedented, comprehensive picture of the network's scale and modus operandi. Search warrants were issued in carefully staged increments. The precise location of every target was pinpointed with near-perfect accuracy. By the moment of action, everything was in place for a massive synchronized nationwide takedown, one designed to prevent any warning from rippling through the system. When the tactical teams breached the doors and stormed in, the response from the other side was not panic, but clear, organized resistance. At multiple locations, gunfire erupted almost immediately, forcing agents to swiftly shift into tactical containment mode. Snipers quickly took up elevated positions, tactical surveillance units deployed with speed, and the assault teams moved in tight professional formations. Rather than fleeing, many suspects dug in to hold their ground barricading entrances with whatever materials were at hand, erecting makeshift obstacles and even establishing defensive lines that exploited blind corners and dead angles. Those reactions were anything but random. They revealed meticulous preparation, almost as if the group had undergone formal long-term training. At several locations, covert surveillance camera systems had been installed well in advance, pre-planned escape routes existed, and emergency response protocols were clearly memorized by every member. Investigators later concluded that this level of internal discipline was extraordinarily rare, far exceeding anything they had encountered in their entire careers dealing with conventional criminal organizations. Deep in a nondescript warehouse tucked away on the outskirts of St. Paul, agents uncovered the single most surprising and significant discovery of the entire operation. Hidden far beneath the surface was a heavily fortified underground command center, concealed with extraordinary sophistication behind multiple layers of concrete and advanced soundproofing. Inside that space hummed a network of continuously running servers, dedicated radio communication equipment, and sprawling planning boards that mapped operations across multiple states. Delivery schedules were meticulously logged down to the day, hour, and minute. This was no makeshift storage site. The facility looked and functioned exactly like a modern military operations center. The server racks were arranged with scientific precision, each equipped with independent backup power supplies capable of keeping operations running seamlessly even if the main grid was cut. Whiteboards detailed the origins of shipments, transit times, unique identifiers for every load, and alternate routes in case primary paths were blocked or compromised. Handheld radios were organized strictly by function rather than by individual names, another deliberate measure to protect identities. This discovery instantly reshaped the entire direction of the investigation. Minnesota was not the sole hub. It was merely one critical node in a vastly larger network, with branches extending across the Midwest and quite possibly far beyond, all underpinned by contingency plans that had been meticulously prepared long in advance. As the sun climbed higher, dozens of suspects had been taken into custody. Yet the investigators quickly realized a deeply troubling truth. The upper echelon of leadership had vanished completely. The 9 key figures previously identified were absent from every arrest list. Their residences stood empty, phones and computers left behind, communication devices silent since the early hours. They had withdrawn at the very first hint of potential danger, slipping away so swiftly that federal forces had no chance to intercept them. After the initial raid, the remainder of the network quickly activated a long-prepared contingency plan. Encrypted communications traffic spiked dramatically within the first few hours following the operation. Members attempted to destroy documents using industrial paper shredders, wipe storage devices with secure erasure software, and relocate critical assets to backup locations. Several attempts to rescue key individuals were detected through monitoring sources, but the vast majority failed due to the rapid and comprehensive control federal forces established over major transportation routes. Nevertheless, federal cybersecurity teams managed to recover a massive amount of data before it could be completely wiped. Internal activity logs, partially intact financial records, detailed delivery schedules, and communication details became invaluable evidence. They revealed how the network coordinated across state lines, potential connections to suppliers outside the United States, and even plans for near-future expansion. The operation concluded with nearly 200 arrests, hundreds of millions of dollars frozen or seized, and a highly sophisticated criminal logistics system fully exposed to the public. However, this was not an absolute victory. While the body of the network suffered severe damage, its top leadership managed to slip out of the dragnet in time. The organization was deliberately designed to withstand heavy losses and rapidly restructure. When one branch is dismantled, the others can continue operating under a new form in a different territory with adjusted methods of concealment. From a broader perspective, this case serves as stark evidence of the terrifying evolution of modern organized crime. These groups no longer rely on overt violence or flashy displays of wealth. They conceal themselves within the very supply chains, financial systems, and technologies that society trusts and depends on every single day. They learn rapidly, adapt continuously, and plan long-term with a vision that far surpasses traditional gangs. Defeating them requires not only brute force, but also superior intelligence, precise, actionable intelligence, deep data analysis, and tightly coordinated efforts among law enforcement agencies at every level. As a morning light stretched across the Twin Cities, the echoes of the operation still lingered in the frigid air. A serious threat had been temporarily pushed back, but the biggest question still hung in the air. Was this merely the end of one branch, or only the opening chapter of far larger hunts to come, spanning the entire territory of the United States? Time will tell. And that silent, soundless war continues smoldering, persistent, waiting for the next moment. A profound lesson from this historic operation for all of us. Modern organized crime is no longer loud or flashy like in the movies. It hides right in the heart of society, blending seamlessly into the most familiar things: trucks rolling steadily down the highway, ordinary warehouses, perfectly legal bank transactions. Their sophistication, discipline, and long-term vision remind us that the real threat rarely comes from what is noisy, but from what is silent and persistent. Stay vigilant about things that seem too normal, because that very normalcy can be the perfect cover for an underground empire. And most importantly, only when someone dares to speak up from the inside does the darkness truly get torn open. And that's the entire shocking story of the largest operation in Minnesota history, an underground empire exposed, nearly 200 people arrested, more than $650 million in dirty money frozen, yet the masterminds are still lurking somewhere in the shadows. This isn't the end. It might just be the opening chapter of an even bigger nationwide manhunt. Crime today is no longer loud, it's silent, patient, and perfectly blended into our everyday lives. What do you think about this story? Where do you think the network's top leaders escaped to? Will they resurface and rebuild in another city, or was this truly a fatal blow? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll read and reply to everyone. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep uncovering more dark secrets together. Thank you for sticking around until the very end. See you next time.